In this lesson, we will learn how to give our face a smile with the use of the triangle theory. Let's say we're drawing a portrait of someone, but they ask us to give them a smile instead of this straight face here. Well, we can easily do this by using the triangle as a unit of measurement. I'll go ahead and demonstrate this on a separate layer. Let's select our triangle layer. Now, if we imagine a triangle being formed from the corner of one eye to the other eye and down, I'll go ahead and draw that in with the corner of one eye, not including the eyelashes, but just right at the corner to the other corner, down to the bottom of the center of the lower lip, and up again. We can see this triangle form. Now this triangle might be different per person. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes it might be wider at the top or narrower, but overall the triangle that you find in a relaxed face will be the same as the triangle that you see in a smiling face. Let's take a look at some examples really quickly. I'll go ahead and hide these layers. I'll expose this and I'll go ahead and select my triangle layer. Now since there's so much orange in here, let me go ahead and select a different color, maybe a green. That'll be easy to see. I'll hide what we don't have to see. So here we have some photos of our friendly DT staff members. Here we have Sunder at the top with his relaxed face and a smile, a simple smile, with his teeth still closed, or his jaw still closed, but his teeth exposed. And down here we have Kyle with different features than Sunder, and also he has his little smile in there as well. Now Kyle's triangle might be different than Sunder's. We'll go ahead and test this theory out really quickly. We'll just draw this in from one corner to the other corner, to the bottom of the lips, and up. And we'll go ahead and select this triangle, copy it, and move it over to this other face here. As you can see, it falls right at the bottom of the lip and at the corners of the eye. Although he might be at a different angle, kind of tilted a bit so it won't line up perfectly, but overall the placement is the same. Even though his mouth is open, the bottom still matches up with the triangle. Let's go ahead and test this out on Kyle. His features are different, but we'll go ahead and try this. Just match up the corners to the bottom of the lip. There we go. And we'll go ahead and copy this triangle and move it over. And there you have it. It's still matching up right with the corners. Just a little bit over to the side. Matching up with the corners and keeping that same position at the bottom center of the lip, even though his mouth is exposing the teeth. Now let's go ahead and apply this theory to our own drawing. We'll go ahead and hide this really quickly and expose our triangle again. Select our sketch. Let me go ahead and quickly turn this opacity down just a little bit so we can see a little bit better. I'll go back to my sketch layer and I'll select a different color and a different brush. Oops. There we go. Select our different brush in here. Make sure our layer's exposed, and we'll go ahead and hide what we don't have to see anymore. Alright, so first let's examine that this angle right here, this side, is kind of coming over this bean in the upper lip, and also over here. We can use this as our guide as well. Now when we smile, we're pulling the corners of our mouth backwards, and it also kind of lifts it up with the tension of the overall roundness of this tissue underneath, this muscle underneath. It's lifting it and pulling it in towards the center a little bit. So now if we imagine this upper line will be right about up in here. Now for some, this line might be arching up a little bit more, exposing more gums, depending on how much is being deformed up in the philtrum area. Or it might be looping downwards for those who don't have much control in the philtrum and being pulled more by the corners. But on average, you'll find it's kind of straightened out at the top. I'll go ahead and round it out just a little bit so it's not too flat. Now the corners of the smile normally match up with the pupils of the eyes. But again, that's just a general rule, so we can go ahead and stretch that if we wanted to. We can take that a little bit further, but as an overall placement, so we don't go too far, we'll just use that as a guideline. Alright, now for the bottom of the lip, it's still going to keep this position down here, but it'll kind of scoop upwards because this bean in this lip right here is being stretched up into the corners of the mouth. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that by having it round up a little bit. Matching up not all the way in the corner because it tucks underneath a little bit. And for the top rim of the bottom lip, it'll still match up with the relaxed position right down here. So let's go ahead and mark that in. Maybe not quite as thick. You can thin that out because it is still being stretched. There won't be as much deformation in this bean in here because it is being stretched all the way across. Let's go ahead and do that for the same on the other side. Right down here, rounding it out. Alright, now for the upper lip, this bean in here is being lifted, but it's still holding its position on this edge, on this triangle. So let's go ahead and mark that in. Right about here will be the highest part of the bean, and right about in here, the other bean. Now the scoop in the upper lip, caused by this philtrum is actually being stretched apart just a little bit because the mouth is being pulled to the sides. But it will still have a little bit of a scoop even though it will be stretched out further. So let's go ahead and add that in. Just a little bit of a lower position in the lip and kind of meeting up with that bean on the side and wrapping all the way down to the corners of the mouth. Right in there. We can add just a little bit more of a cheek deformation in there. Alright. So there we have that. And now the center bean, it'll still be there, but it won't be as obvious. We'll go ahead and mark it in just a little bit. It won't be as defined because it is being stretched apart. Let's add a little bit of shadow in here. The underside of the upper lip. It's not being exposed to light. And also down here, there'll be a little bit more shadow in the back. And towards the bottom, it'll be smoothed out. So let's smooth that out because the beans are being stretched out. It's no longer showing that deformation in the lip. Okay. Kind of round that out a little bit. Now the mouth isn't the only thing that's being affected when we smile. Now when we smile, since we are pulling with our cheeks, we'll add a little bit of plumpness to the cheek, which will also add a little bit of shadow right in here in the grin line. If it's not exposed at a relaxed pose, it will be exposed at the smile. And also for the nose, because the cheek is being pulled to the sides, the nose is also being stretched just a little bit. Now the bottom of the septum will still keep its place. Let's go ahead and mark that because it is cartilage holding this place in here. Now the nostril will be pulled just a little bit up and stretched out to the side. Same with the other nostril. Okay. Now for the alar wing, it'll kind of be lifted up and stretched out a little bit more, so let's draw that out. Same with the other side. Lifted and stretched. We can go ahead and put in our shadows so we can remind ourselves that it is a firm piece of cartilage in there, holding that overall shape on the top of the nose. The position of this wrinkle on the top will stay the same. Some people have a little bit more wrinkles formed up here. The muscles underneath will cause those wrinkles, but overall we'll just keep that the same. And we'll add in our shadow for our grin line. Keep in mind that the cheek is lifting up off the surface, adding this shadow in here. Alright, so now for our face, or for our eyes area, we'll go ahead and plot out the location of our upper eyelid. It'll keep its same position overall. We'll go ahead and mark that in. It won't be changing much on the top unless this person is really having this wholehearted laugh and really wants to express the emotions she's feeling or he's feeling, if it was a guy. When they do want to express more emotion, they'll close their eyes when they laugh. But overall, since this is a nice relaxed smile, we're just going to go ahead and keep this placement here. Same with the eyes. She's not going to be looking in a different direction. We'll go ahead and just add in these details here. We want to keep this information in here. Also over there. This upper eyelid also won't change. When a person's laughing, sometimes they might use their eyebrows, they might lift it up, and then you'll see deformation in here. But overall, it'll keep the same shape. Now, because the cheek is pushing up, you'll see a little bit change in this fold right in here. We'll go ahead and lift that just a little bit more. Now, as you can see, her smile doesn't look so sincere. And the reason for that is when we smile, our cheeks tend to push up our eyelids just a little bit. Now we can go ahead and change this or add this to give her a little bit more of a sincerity in her smile, but we'll just assume that she's kind of lifting it up as a normal arch. In most cases, the arch won't come all the way up to this lid, but you'll see it in a lot of faces. Sometimes when it's not as sincere, it might be lifted just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and make it a really sincere smile and lift it all the way up to the top of the triangle. That's a nice little marker right there on how high we want to get this lid to go up. Again, not all eyes are as squinty as this one, so we won't have to always come up this high, but it's a good visual guide for where we want to place our overall upper rim of the lower lid. I'll go ahead and add a little bit more in here. Define this just a little bit more. And if we wanted to, we can even add wrinkles right in here to really express that she's really forcing this lid up. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hide our guide and our basic sketch. And as we can see, we've turned this into a nice, sincere smile, really simply using just the triangle. Now, if the teeth are exposed, at the corners, there'll be a little bit of shadow in there because we won't see it as much. It'll kind of be a little bit deeper back there. We can go ahead and add that in. And when we smile, normally we expose more of the top of the teeth than we do the bottom. We'll only see just a little bit of the bottom, so let's go ahead and just draw that in really quickly. Just a simple line. We won't add too many details yet. Okay. If we wanted to stretch this smile out even farther, we could. We could pull it out just a little bit more, or we can make it wider at the top, the space in between. But overall, we've easily achieved this simple smile from our triangle theory, our triangle measurement, based off of a relaxed face that we've already got. I'll go ahead and expose that again so we can see the difference. So we got a relaxed face, and we turned it into a nice smile. Now again, the faces, if you look at a variety of different faces, the faces are always a little bit different in people. Some, like I said, are a little bit closer together at the top and stretch farther down at the bottom. Some are more just slightly stretched to the top than they are at the bottom, and some are just an equilateral triangle. But overall, if we wanted to turn these big smiles into a straight face, we could use the same theory, the same measurements. But as you can see, this triangle can be really useful in predicting the overall placement of the facial features. So feel free to test it out and have fun with it.